Edgar Casey's predictions. The future of the USA and the world. A series of catastrophes will mark the beginning of the end for the entire continent. This is roughly the scenario described by Edgar Casey, the greatest prophet of the last century. He made thousands of predictions during his lifetime. Their authenticity is confirmed by many witnesses. The most powerful earthquakes will bury the United States. According to Cayce, the cause of the cataclysms will be the change in the tilt of the Earth's axis and the shifting of the magnetic poles. The processes set in motion in the second half of the 20th century will lead to radical changes across the planet, but America will suffer the most. Earthquakes will destroy large areas of the USA. Much of the East Coast will be destroyed, as well as the West Coast and the central United States. New York City was destroyed by war or earthquake and has been rebuilt. Industries are scattered all over the country. This is the future of New York City that Cayce saw in a dream. The coastal areas of eastern New York State and New York City itself will disappear. This will happen in the next generation, while the southern areas of the states of Carolina and Georgia will be wiped out. It will happen much sooner. Los Angeles, San Francisco will be among those destroyed before New York. Much of the American territory will be flooded. Many predictions say that the continents will change shape. Coastal areas will be underwater and new land will emerge somewhere. There's even a flood map, but I'll write about that separately. We need to find out who made it, because Edgar Casey's authorship is questionable. Even a small shift in the axis will have serious consequences for the Earth's crust. Imagine what would happen if the Atlantic coast were to drop just 30 feet. Eastern seaports would be inundated, large areas of the Carolinas, Georgia and Florida would be underwater. There will be new land in both the Atlantic and the Pacific. Where the coastline is now, there will be seabed. Even where many of today's battlefields are, there will be ocean, there will be seas, there will be bays. And the lands will have a new order, and they will continue to trade. Water will cover Alabama, Norfolk will become a great seaport. California may gradually separate from the mainland of the United States because of the great shifting of the Pacific Ocean floor. The Hawaiian Islands, surrounded by a deep trench, are slowly sinking into the ocean. Shifts in the Earth's crust will occur in many places. First, in the 40-year period, the changes will be felt on the west coast of America. There will be open water in the north of Greenland. There will be new land in the Caribbean. South America will be shaken from beginning to end. From Antarctica to Tierra del Fuego there will be land and a strait with a fast current. The waters of the Great Lakes will one day flow into the Gulf of Mexico. This is the future he predicted for Russia shortly before his death in 1945. The hope of the whole world will come from Russia. True freedom when everyone lives for his neighbor. This principle was born there. It will take years for it to crystallize. But from Russia the hope of the world will come again. Russia's religious revival will bring hope to the world. Alone or with allies, Russia will set the stage for gradual change, final settlement, and world domination. Cayce saw that in the end Russia and the United States would be united in friendship. The future of the world, what Edgar Casey predicted. Well, a bit about other regions. Global cataclysms will occur in many countries and will affect almost the entire planet. Although the USA will suffer most. Here's what the sleeping prophet said about these events. There will be shifts in the Earth's crust in the Arctic and Antarctic. This will cause volcanic eruptions in hot climates. The poles will shift, so cold and subtropical areas will become tropical, and mosses and ferns will grow there. New York, London, Paris and some other large cities may eventually disappear from the face of the earth, though countries can avoid a third world war. Perhaps one day they will be submerged by the world's oceans. About the physical changes. There will be crustal faults in the American West. Much of Japan will be underwater. The upper, northern, part of Europe will change instantly. There will be new land east of the American coast. But even in North America there will be islands of safety, areas that will be virtually unaffected. Here's what Casey himself said. There are areas on the coast of Virginia that will become safe zones. There will be similar areas in Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, and many areas in southern and eastern Canada. At the same time as much of the western country will be destroyed, the same will happen in other countries. When will the cataclysms predicted by Casey begin? The seer made all his apocalyptic predictions in the 30s and early 40s of the last century. There were always witnesses. An eyewitness recalled in 1967. To a woman who was 51 years old in 1943, he told her that the coming destruction would take place in the next generation. At the same time, Casey repeatedly said that dangerous processes would be set in motion towards the end of the 40-year period, which would end in 1998. By the year 2000, the news cycle will be in full swing. Finally, he pointed out the precise signs that the catastrophe was near. Asked when it would begin, Casey replied, "When there are the first cataclysms in the South Sea, that is, in the South Pacific, which can manifest itself in flooding or, conversely, in a rise in the sea floor, or in the Mediterranean and around Mount Etna. Then we can know that it has started." When Etna woke up in 1964, many thought Casey's predictions were coming true. Then the volcano calmed down. A new cycle of eruptions began in the early 1990s, and since 2011 they have been regular, several times a year.